Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there osia dem yopo.
Good morning, Prof.
Good morning, Dr. Rams.
Prof, how are you? Long time.
Yes, I'm fine. You're all growing gray hairs, The last time I saw you, you had a very nice black hair. Now look at mine and yours.
I'm growing. I'm growing. Prof, I hope that you're in good health.
Yes, thank you very much. By God's grace, I'm doing very well.
Do you get time to practice and to lecture?
Oh yes, lecturing not really because I don't go to Kolebu, but I get time to do my work as a doctor, both in Accra and also in a hospital in Tumasi, in the Ashanti region.
Well, you have it. You have your own hospital.
Yes. That's the Frimpong Boateng Medical Center. It's a very nice facility.
Oh, okay. Do you get the opportunity of going to the place that you actually set up? I mean, one of the things that Ghanaians will always remember you for the cardiothoracic center. Do you still get time to go there to see what's happening there, how the place is developed?
I don't go there at all.
Prof, I'm sure that we would find time later on to speak a lot about these issues, but let's fast track a bit. You were appointed a minister.
Yes.
And then I dare say that maybe aside corruption, the biggest threat, if not indeed the biggest threat to our very survival as a people and as a nation is illegal mining. The president declared war on that. He even publicly stated that he was prepared to put his presidency on the line. He made reference to many times that we've tried and failed in the past. A ministerial task force was formed. You were made the chairman. A lot of people were excited about that because of your background and who you are and all that. Now, today, for many people, our situation has gone from bad to worse. What happened?
I was so fascinated with the statement made by the president that he's putting his presidency online to fight this thing. And that was why I even went there and I wanted to give everything. And we did a lot. If we had a free hand to do what we wanted to do, we have solved the problem. In fact, we nearly succeeded in solving the problem. Now, I'll explain to you. If you remember, when this struggle started, the Ghana Small Scale Miners Association was accused. Members were accused of all the errors in the small scale mining sector. So we engaged them, about 5,000 of them, to listen to them why they were doing what they were supposed to be doing. For example, they said that if they applied for a permit from the Minerals Commission, it took them years, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, sometimes no response. So to do their work, they just enter the field and do their mining. So we needed to do something about registration. 2, they said they didn't know anything about sustainable mining, how to do it sustainable. So we set up a program and sent 4,000 of them to Takwa School of Mines, Takwa University of Mines, to learn sustainable mining. And 4,000 of them were trained. And so people were not. So we took them through the registration exercise, developed a software called Galamstop. And that software was so potent that at some point the US Embassy wanted to help us. So they brought in people from Oracle. But when they saw what our young men have done, they said, look, this is the best that we have ever seen. We can't even improve it. So it was used. With that software, if a miner started the registration process at the Minerals Commission, it would trigger the process at EPA, for example, Water Resources Commission, and Forestry Commission. These are the agencies that regulate the mining sector. So that within 3 months, a miner will get his license. And then we make sure that they were all registered with the Registrar General Department. And so at some point, we're able to make sure that those who were registered to mine had been trained at Takwa, they had their licenses, and they had everything that they need to go back to the field. And every now and then, we wrote letters, listed them, and sent them to the stakeholders so that they can go and start their work. And they went to the field, they were working very well. And then we noticed that there was a bigger problem. There were bigger mining companies like C&J and Alaska. I'll mention this name because they caused a lot of destruction in DIASSO, where unfortunately Captain Muhammad died, So, and these people were not, they were supposed to be so-called large-scale mining, but they were using small-scale technology, had a lot of machinery, a lot of big people behind, and they were causing the destruction. And we had more or less no power over them, as it were. And there were several of such people, and they were the cause of most of the damage, and not the small-scale miners association. And so that is where the problem started.
Prof,
so,
just to help us clarify something, if you say that you had no power over them, what do you mean?
I don't want to go to something that is in court.
Okay.
Because if you go to a place and then somebody calls you that I know these people, powerful people who call you from all sorts of places, corridors for power in the party. I know these people, they have their alliances and they can work, and you know very well that they don't. And but then they still go on, and some of them have security provided by regular military people. How can Frimpong or his committee do anything about this? But it's a very complex issue. So this is what I'm talking about.
Now, we know that C&J Alaska, I hope I got the name right, have also indicated severally that their concessions had been invaded by illegal miners, and that even in the previous regime, they had that situation, they reported it to the authorities, and that even led them to get the military to come and guard their sites. And therefore, quite a lot of the distraction that we have seen are actually the work of these illegal miners and not they as a company. Did you find out something like that?
It may be true that small little people will go to their concession with head pans and things to do something. But if we look at the damage caused by excavators and big machines, these were not caused by people who invaded those places. And vast stretch of land, forests destroyed, with gullies and pits and so on. Ultimately, they are responsible for their mining concessions. So I don't buy that. It may be true that some small-scale miners will invade their place, but not with excavators. They may go there with their head pans and so on. But then, they also had a track record of abusing the mining laws. Tony Obin wrote to them, Dr. Tony Obin wrote to them that they were abusing their prospecting licenses. Minerals Commission wrote to them. Honorable Amewu also wrote to them. And these letters are all available to be seen. So this is one example. There are several of them, And then the invasion of the forest, where the CEO of the Minerals Forestry Commission wrote letters to so-called entry permits for people to enter the forest. Enter the forest to do what? As soon as they get there, then they start doing mining. If you go there, they say it's prospecting. But it's not true. It's really mining, destruction of water bodies. The trees are gone, and so on.
Did you bring these things to the attention of the president? Since you
Oh yes, I did.
You did?
I did.
In what manner? Did you write to the president? Did you seek audience with him to have a discussion?
I sought audience with him. We sat down and I told him.
And what happened?
Well, then he said he was going to deal with it.
Did he deal with
them? Yes.
Did he deal with them?
Maybe because I'm no longer there, and if you have access to that report, you just read it. You know, you see my interactions with him and with others.
No, but I'm saying that after your interaction, did you see any change after he promised to deal with it?
No.
You didn't?
I didn't see much change, no.
So why?
Even if you look at it now, things are worse.
So why did you stay on if you say that you were motivated by the president's assertion that he was going to put his presidency on the line? You hit some impediments. You brought it to his attention. He promised to deal with it. You're saying that you didn't see much. Why did you stay on then?
You see, it takes time for some of these things to work. I mean, the president will be giving instructions to, say, the Ministers' Commission, Forensic Commission, to make things are done. I know at cabinet meeting there was a time when an embargo was put on mining in forest reserves and so on. So it takes time for these things to. I'm not saying he didn't do anything. He might have done something, but sometimes you give instructions down the line and people don't obey them. I mean, there was clear directive that there should be no longer mining in forest reserve, but somehow it went on, and maybe on his blind side. Somebody might have to tell him again, but I wasn't there.
But the interministerial task force included colleagues of yours who were in charge of specific ministries where some of these issues were emanating from. And I want to believe that it was an interministerial task force because government wanted to build the synergies and get all those who had responsibility for particular sectors or agencies to work together to achieve that goal of the president. So, for example, a forestry commission was doing something wrong, the sector minister was part of your task force. If it's the minerals commission, the sector minister was there. If it is the military, the defense minister was there. If it's the police, the interior minister was there. So it should have been easier for you to deal with these issues with the presence of all these colleagues on the task force.
No, it didn't work that way. I mean, some of them, a few of them never even attended meetings of the committee. I mean, there were a lot of challenges. And when who left, and the one who followed him was very adversarial, and things were not that smooth. The question is, why did I stay on? I had to stay on because it would have been very bad to just throw in the towel and say, oh, now, imagine what would have happened in this country.
Did they have to, the lack of cooperation from your colleagues, did it also have to do with your style? That perhaps you always wanted to have your way?
Yeah, but the way is, we were not there to engage in a popularity contest or something. We were put there to solve a problem. And solving a problem in this part of the world is not easy. Randy, I mean, I have created things. If you have created something before, creating the National Cardiothoracic Center was not easy. If you created something, by all means, you have to offend people and step on a few toes. That's the price you have to pay.
Now,
so we can't be nice to everybody and hope that this nation will be on its feet and move in the right direction.
Now, your committee itself, before you left office, had a lot of allegations made against it, and you as a person. We had voice recordings, which were supposed to be interactions between you and some other people who were part of the chain, and all that. We saw some exposés by some journalists and others.
No, let me explain that one to you.
Yes.
How it happened. Yes. That person who came to my office to do the recording he had, we caught him, doing something very bad. So he was sacked. And then he says he wants to see me in my office to discuss something. So I said, okay, fine, come. And then he came with another person, a chairman of the party in Swedro or something. They came there, and unknown to me, they were recording. And they started by making certain statements. Oh, don't you remember that you gave us excavators and we bought you money and this and that? And, so I said, so what are these people talking about? So the interaction went on, and at a certain point, I thought that they were annoying me. So I said, look, if you are here to annoy me, then please walk out. If you remember that very well. So they had a plan, a purpose, just to come and throw out certain statements, say certain things, record, and then take the recording out to create problems for Frimpong Boateng. This is what happened. Yeah, so, I mean, you imagine, Randy, somebody comes to your office and to discuss things you do, then he starts by saying, oh, Randy, the money that you give to me, I give it to your girlfriend, and this, talking about things that you don't know much about, but designed to record something to embarrass you. So that's what it happened. That's what happened with that recording.
Now there was the one by Anas, which then involved some members of your team, which was reported to the special prosecutor. But then you invited the Anas, yes. Then you invited the police CID in to do a thorough investigation, and I'm sure that you heard many people express the opinion that that was to cover up, and that you should have left the office of a special prosecutor once the investigative journalist had petitioned them to go ahead with the investigation.
No, that is not correct. What happened was that when it happened, the officer involved wrote that he was stepping aside for investigations to be conducted. So I wrote a letter to the Minister for Interior for the CID to conduct investigation, because investigations are conducted by the CID. So the CID took over. At that time, it was the lady, and so they were doing the investigation. So it was, in fact, they presented their report. It was later on that Anas came in and also made a report to the special prosecutor. So it wasn't the other way around. The CID started, they had almost completed their study, and then Anas came in and reported to the special prosecutor. That's what happened. It wasn't me setting up a prior investigation. No, when it happened, I told the president, and I was told that those who do investigations are the CID people. So I wrote to the CID.
Yeah, because yes. Prof, when Anas finished his work and he made the work public, he simultaneously petitioned the OSP. And so at the time that the gentleman stepped aside and you asked for the investigation, Anas had triggered the OSP already.
No, that was not the case. The OSP thing came in later, much later.
Okay, so let's move on to another thing before we get to the famous or infamous report. You personally was also accused of engaging in illegal mining. Issues about your son was brought up. Issues about a company that you're supposed to be running with your wife as directors, and your son was alleged to be a kingpin in this whole illegal or illegitimate mining business and all that. So you basically were portrayed as, in fact, a perpetrator in the very thing that you're supposed to eradicate.
That was not the case at all. So somebody reported to the special, to Shroud, and for 4 years, from 2019 to March this year, we were under investigations. And the SHRAC brought this report in March. I can hand you a copy so that you can go through. There has been, my son did nothing wrong, and I have not engaged in any illegal mining. The SHRAC report is there.
Is your son engaged in mining?
No.
He's not.
You know, if we want to know the story.
Yes.
But as I said, I mean, the report is there, so I don't know whether you want me to go through or...
No.
So the thing is that he is not engaged in any illegal activity in mining. So I'll give you the report, and then you can read and inform your...
All right. We've seen a 32-page report, which has become extremely popular in the last few months. And it's a report that you were supposed to have authored when you were no longer in office. What necessitated this report?
I received a letter from the Chief of Staff in February, thereabout, that I should write a report on our activities and also suggest a way forward for the President to fight this menace. So it was an order. I didn't sit down and to write that report. So it was an order from the Chief of Staff, and that is why I wrote that report, and then narrated things that we did, our challenges and things that hindered us and so on. That was the source of that report. That was the basis of that report. I didn't do it. I had, written several reports to cabinet before, met the Council of State, cabinet retreats and so on, which we altered. But this report that I wrote was on the orders of the Chief of Staff, which I did and presented to her on the 19th of March 2011. So that was only that I sat down and concocted that thing. And at that time, I was the caretaker minister. After the elections, we were told to hang on till new ministers were appointed. So it wasn't that I was no longer a minister and I was sitting in my house and I wrote something. This was what happened.
I'm sure that you've heard a lot of people. In fact, a response from the presidency on social media indicated that the report, when the issue of why it had not been acted on, the response was that, look, this was just a catalogue of hearsays, and so really there was no basis to even do anything about the report.
Well, fine. I mean, my job had been done. I presented a report to the President, and that was the end of my job. It was no longer my report, but something that had to be dealt with. But whatever characterization that they will apply to it, that is not my problem. But what I'm saying is that if the issues that I mentioned are not addressed and some lessons learned from it, there is no way that this illegality can be stopped in Ghana. For example, the dredging on the water bodies, which we stopped. We stopped it completely. Before, in the past, security personnel were burning the machines on the floating platforms. But we devised a means of carrying away all the floating platform on the water bodies, including the machines. And one set cost about 35,000 cedis. And that was a lot of loss to these people. So we were able to solve the problem on the water bodies. But now, nothing has happened. They've gone back and it's getting worse by the day. So what I'm saying is that, however that they characterize it, is not my problem. But if you ignore these things, the problem is worse. And I don't expect that it will be better anytime soon.
Now, Prof, in that report, you mention names. You indict your own government. If anybody reads that report, the impression they get is that the government really is neck deep in this whole thing. The government is not interested in dealing with the issue. Government officials are collaborators in this particular thing. You've granted interviews subsequent to this report, and the impression everybody gets is that this whole fight is just a ruse, and that the government and its officials are really those who are behind this whole thing, and we're going nowhere with this fight.
Well, I don't want to go into the report because it wasn't supposed to be for public consumption. I was expecting that there will be internal discussions of the court, and those mentioned will also be called, and we'll find a way of solving this problem, very difficult problem. So I did not set out to indict anybody. I was very frank with my experience with the fight and what I thought should be done. It wasn't easy writing some of these things. It wasn't my pleasure, but I had to be honest with the president and really state what I thought was hindering the fight against this thing. You see, and the thing is that it's not that things are getting better. They are getting worse. And so, who is responsible for these things? And these are questions that we have to answer. Because the sad thing is that, see, rivers are there. People, look, in the near future, wars are going to be fought on water, rivers. But we have so many rivers. And the river or water body has several functions. So you can drink it, use it to wash, do other household things. You can use it to water your garden, to bathe in it, to ride your boat on it, and so on. Then fish and other aquatic creatures grow in the rivers and so on. But now, these rivers cannot do any of these things. There's no fish in there. The rivers are silted with debris. You cannot ride any boat on it. You can't use it to water anything. You can't wash with it. There's nothing you can do it. So this is just a big problem that we have on our hands. So apart from the water, and maybe the Afra, all the other rivers have been impacted. The white water, red water, black water, Tano, Pra, Fin, and all these rivers are there. There's nothing you can do with them. It's just a source of illness, And the thing is that we are not the only human beings or only beings on earth. See, God created us human beings so that we can take care of His creation. Now we have destroyed the forest, so you don't even see important creatures like vultures, and they are all very important in the ecosystem. So if we don't have these scavengers that take care of dead things, the dead things will then start affecting human lives. When was the last time we saw a vulture, Randy? So this is very important. So if we deprive a creature of its habitat, of its food resources, of its water resources, it's only a question of time when they all be extinct. So we need to be mindful of some of these things. That if we don't want to take care of ourselves, at least we should think about the others, the animals in the forest. We can create such a water, but the animals in the forest drink what they've been drinking for ages. So these are very important things. That's why I'm very passionate about this.
Now, Prof, you've recently had an interaction with the OSP.
Yes.
What happened?
Well, I received a letter from him. Incidentally, a lot of people have sued me. I received his rate, and the next day I got an invitation from the special prosecutor. I'm not saying that the two are linked for discussion or an interview, because they are investigating corruption and corruption-related activities at the IMCIM and so on. So I'm a person of interest, and therefore I should present myself for an interview. On the 16th of May at 10 o'clock, I should be there. And I went there. It took some time for the lawyers to assemble. So at about 10:15, 10:30, we went to the 7th floor, and I was ushered into a room, sat down, and opposite me was a gentleman who was introduced as the chief investigator. And my lawyers were there on my right-hand side. The few officers from the OSPs were also there. And as soon as I sat down, this investigator comes to me, put his left hand on my right shoulder and says, "You are under arrest." What are my charges? There were no specific charges except that they say they are investigating a certain corruption and corruption-related activities. Anyway, so I stayed there till about 1:30 or so, and at the end of it all, I was asked to be bailed before I could leave. I was asked to write a statement, and so a friend of mine who was down there came up and bailed me, and I was not even given the opportunity of a self-reconnaissance bail or something.
You were
so, but my friend came, bailed me.
Are you saying you were not granted a self-reconnaissance bail?
No,
you weren't.
My friend had, and then they went to my friend's house, to see what he was saying, so that in case I absconded, they'll be able to apprehend him and then show, and get to me. So this is what happened.
But for the 3 hours or so that you were there, what transpired?
Well, I answered a lot of questions. They posed a lot of questions, and because they are still investigating, I don't think I can go over the questions that I was.
Did they inform you that? Did they inform you that you were also a subject of investigation? That others had made allegations against you?
No,
they didn't.
Well, in the course of it was in the course of the questioning that something like that, but I cannot remember the details. It was a very long time, and so yeah. They asked a lot of questions, yes.
All right. Have you met them again? Have they indicated when you would meet them again?
No, they told me I could go, and if I was needed, I'll be called back.
So on hindsight, how will you describe this fight against Galamsey launched by your government?
Well, I mean, everybody accepts that it's not going well, and it's not going well, and I think that it will not go well.
Why?
For some time, because a lot of those involved, I mean, from both sides, from MPP and NDC, and I think I've mentioned that in one of the regions, the NDC had the upper hand in destroying the environment. So even in the best of times, when the economy was relatively better, people depended upon illegal mining for income, and now that things are not going very well, and we are going into an election year, I don't see how there's going to be any headway in this fight against this illegality.
I have seen a quote attributed to you. I need to confirm with you whether it is true. So I'd like to read this, and it says that I voted for a dictator, and I'll forever regret I did it twice. Did you say this?
Again?
I voted for a dictator, and I'll forever regret I did it twice.
This is the first time hearing this. It's not from me. It can never be from me.
Okay. Because
no, I've never said that anywhere.
Okay, all right. Did you also say that you will not stay in power forever? As in you speaking to your colleagues who are in government?
Oh yes, I said it before.
Why?
That, because power sometimes can go into your head, and power is temporary, not only temporary, but it's effervescent. The time it goes down, and so and we know it. Power is not forever, and we should be very careful. Some people get sad when after their term of office, even the police, their bodyguards are withdrawn and they are sad. They can't use. That is why, even when I was a minister, I was only using the VIP lounge at the airport. I just go through the normal process. When I come back, I go to the hall, take my things and move away. So to remind yourself that, look, you need to be very careful, stay where you are, and don't let things go into your head. And so power, yes, is temporal and effervescent.
Now, whilst I wrap up with you, let me just do, your party is opening nominations for presidential, potential presidential candidates. I've not heard your name come up. You've not picked up forms. Why?
Oh, no. I'm not going to pick up any form. No, I'm not one of them. So I'm not one of the group. I'm not saying I'm not one of the FPP. I'm not in the group vying for power.
Why? You've tried it once. Why are you not interested? You are passionate about your country.
Very passionate about my country. If I were the president, this was to have been a very different place.
So why are you not staking a claim?
You see, because I don't think the party is. Look, you may get a good president, but you may not like him. I don't think the party, or let's say the Ghanaians, are ready for, the change that I need, that I think should happen. Now let me give you an example. Singapore, when Lee Kuan Yew got independence, I think in 1963 or 64, before they separated from Malaysia in 1965, he said, when we had independence, I saw the greed and decadence in Asia, and I was determined not to be part of it. So that is that kind of thing that I want to see, I want to hear. Just like the Americans did on the 4th of July 1776, when their fathers were signing the Independence Declaration in Philadelphia, in the State House of Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. They said, in support of this Independence Declaration, we pledge our lives, our worth, and our secret honor that it will work in America, it will be prosperous. I have never seen any such commitment. So whoever wants to convince me, so far I've not heard any statement to that effect. That look, we are coming, and we are going to be different. We are going to unite this country. This division, sharp divisions should no longer exist. The political parties are not enemies. Our enemies are out there. We are competing with people who are serious. In education, in health, in agriculture. You see, Africa is the only continent where the Green Revolution has not yet taken place. So what we've been doing is, to me, it's a joke. And we need to be serious, be committed to the people of this country, make sure that we survive as a people. Because so is the philosophy of the people who are coming. I want to see somebody who is saying that, look, I'm going to be different, and this is how I'm going to be different. I want to be judged by this. Or to say, I'm going to commit my worth, my honor, and everything that I have to the survival of this country.
Are you one of the people who will be voting to select 5 out of the 10?
No, I'm not one of them.
You're not. Which of these 10 will you vote for?
Yeah, I know who I will not vote for. So, but let me rest.
Should Ghanaians help your party break the 8?
Pardon me?
Should Ghanaians help your party break the 8?
I want a government that will serve this nation, unite this nation. This tribalism, you are from here, I'm from there, I'm from this party, I'm from that party. Look, I didn't grow up that way, so whether they'll break the 8 or they can't break it, that is not important to the nation. We want a nation that is on the path of truth, righteousness, and sustainable development.
Does your party fit this description?
At this present time?
Yes.
No, I mean, I'll be a fool to say that, yes. No, it's not.
Prof, thank you very much.
I'll be very dishonest.
Right.
So we need to be honest. Everybody, I don't need to be a soothsayer to say that we have challenges and so on. But that doesn't mean that the alternatives are much better. We need to sit down as a country and make sure that whoever comes to run the government will do it with the interests of the poor people of this nation, because we are falling behind in every aspect of our socio-economic life.
All right, Prof. Thanks for your time. I'm sure we'll speak again.
Thank you very much, Dr. Randy Abbey, for having me on your program.
All right, thanks, Prof.
Whenever I say PENDREAM TV, PENDREAM TV, there, I see them,